Hello, dear friends. I'm Alder Santos, and welcome to our channel, Baseball Legends. David Justice is one of those names that spark strong memories for baseball fans of the 1990s and early 2000s. With his powerful swing, commanding presence at the plate, and charisma both on and off the field, Justice was more than just a good player. He was clutch in crucial moments and helped shape the success of iconic teams like the Atlanta Braves, the Cleveland Indians, and the New York Yankees. But behind the shine of home runs and October glory, his journey also carries controversies, twists, and moments of resilience that few know in depth. During his meteoric rise with the Braves, Justice quickly became one of the franchise's offensive cornerstones, leading the team to multiple playoff appearances and winning the hearts of Atlanta fans. His performance in the 1995 World Series, when he hit the decisive home run in Game 6 against the Indians, was one of the most iconic moments of the decade in baseball. However, his surprising departure from the team and arrival in Cleveland reignited his stardom while marking the start of a more complex phase, including suspicions of performance-enhancing drugs and a sometimes difficult relationship with the media. Watch this video all the way to the end ***, and share with us, what's your most unforgettable memory of David Justice? Was it that clutch home run in 1995, his time with the Indians, or the championship with the Yankees? Leave your thoughts in the comments and tell us how you see the legacy of this legendary baseball figure. Despite the controversies, David Justice managed to reinvent himself. He won another championship with the Yankees in 2000, was selected to 3 All-Star games, and finished his career with over 300 home runs. After hanging up his cleats, he transitioned into sports media, showcasing another side of his passion for the game. His legacy, although at times overshadowed by negative headlines, remains strong among those who recognize his true impact on the field. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the fascinating and layered journey of one of the most emblematic players of his generation, an athlete who rose to the top, faced setbacks, and still left a lasting mark on Major League Baseball history. David Justice was one of the most respected hitters of the 1990s, especially for his consistent production and strong presence in the heart of every lineup he joined. He made his MLB debut in 1989 with the Atlanta Braves and quickly drew attention for his natural hitting ability. In 1990, he won the National League Rookie of the Year award after hitting 28 home runs and driving in 78 RBIs, signaling that a future star had arrived. With a powerful yet disciplined swing, Justice became a key piece in the Braves' rebuilding process, helping transform the team into a National League powerhouse for much of the decade. During his time in Atlanta, Justice was a central figure in one of the most successful eras of the franchise, playing alongside stars like Chipper Jones, Fred McGriff, and Greg Maddux. In 1995, his contribution became even more legendary. In Game 6 of the World Series against the Cleveland Indians, Justice hit the solo home run that sealed the title for the Braves, the only championship won by the franchise while based in Atlanta until 2021. That moment cemented his reputation as a clutch player, especially under intense pressure. However, his journey with the Braves came to an abrupt end in 1997 when he was traded to the Indians, a decision that stunned both fans and baseball analysts in Cleveland. Justice maintained his high offensive level and quickly became a strong presence in the locker room. With the Indians, he returned to the World Series in the same year he arrived, reinforcing his image as a player who elevated every team he joined. In 2000, as a seasoned veteran, he was acquired by the New York Yankees and added another World Series title to his resume, this time with the legendary Bronx Bombers. Even while battling injuries late in his career, His ability to maintain solid offensive stats and deliver in big games earned him the respect of teammates and rivals alike. Despite his on-field success, Justice's career was not without controversy. Most notably his mention in the Mitchell Report concerning the use of performance-enhancing drugs, something he has always strongly denied. Beyond that, his confident and sometimes blunt approach with the media also drew criticism throughout his journey. After retirement, Justice successfully reinvented himself as a baseball analyst, staying close to the game and offering insights with the same intensity he once brought to the batter's box. His legacy remains that of a talented, competitive, and often underrated hitter who left his mark both in Atlanta and Cleveland, two cities that witnessed the peak of his offensive firepower. During the 1990s, David Justice established himself as one of the offensive cornerstones of the Atlanta Braves, directly contributing to the transformation of the franchise into a National League powerhouse. With his blend of hitting power, plate discipline, and leadership presence, Justice stood out immediately after his debut in 1989. In 1990, by winning the National League Rookie of the Year award, he not only showcased his individual talent, but also signaled the start of a new era for the Braves. That award was the kickoff to a decade of success for both the player and the team. Justice played a key role in transforming the Braves' offense, providing stability in the heart of the lineup and posing a constant threat to opposing pitchers. With multiple seasons hitting between 20 and 40 home runs, he became a model of offensive consistency. His presence allowed teammates like Ron Gant, Terry Pendleton, and Chipper Jones to thrive in a deeper, more dangerous lineup. The threat he posed at the plate forced pitchers to be cautious, which translated into better opportunities for others and made the Braves' offense more productive as a whole. Beyond the stats, David Justice had a psychological impact on the game. He was known for his intense and competitive demeanor, traits that made him beloved among Atlanta fans and respected in the clubhouse. He was often cited as one of the team's most vocal leaders, someone who didn't shy away from responsibility in tough moments and served as a role model for younger players. On a roster that also featured pitching legends like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz, Justice was the offensive face of the team, providing the balance needed for a dynasty built on both pitching and power. The most iconic moment of his journey with Atlanta came in 1995, when he hit the solo home run that clinched the Game 6 victory in the World Series against the Cleveland Indians. That swing was enough to seal the franchise's first title since its move to Atlanta and secured Justice a permanent place in the hearts of Braves fans. Interestingly, in that same postseason, he had been criticized for harsh comments directed at the fans, but his redemptive performance in the decisive game silenced any doubts about his commitment and dedication. This episode perfectly captures the kind of player he was. Sometimes controversial, but absolutely clutch. During his 7 full seasons in Atlanta, Justice compiled impressive numbers. Over 750 RBIs, 160 home runs, and a solid batting average, even while battling recurring injuries. His ability to produce in October made him even more valuable, as many of his best performances came during the playoffs. Even when the team failed to win the title, Justice often stood out as one of its main offensive weapons. This reinforced his image as an elite player, not just because of his regular season stats, but because of the way he stepped up in crucial moments. With the unexpected trade to the Indians in 1997, David Justice's chapter in Atlanta came to an end, but his legacy remained. He was more than just a productive hitter. He was the offensive soul of a team defined by historic dominance on the mound. Without Justice in the lineup, the Braves might not have been able to maintain the offensive consistency that led them to so many consecutive playoff appearances. For that reason, even after his departure, his name continued to be remembered with respect and fondness by fans who recognized him as one of the key figures of the franchise's golden era. The 1995 World Series title was a milestone in Atlanta. Braves history, ending a long championship drought and solidifying the team's reputation as a powerhouse of the decade. At the center of that triumph was David Justice, who played a pivotal role not only with his performance throughout the playoffs, but especially with his heroics in Game 6 against the Cleveland Indians. That night, with the Braves leading the series 3-2 and tension filling the air at Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, Justice seized the moment. In the sixth inning, he connected on a solo home run off pitcher Jim Poole, the only run of the game, securing a 1-0 victory and delivering the franchise's first championship since moving to Atlanta. That historic home run wasn't just decisive on the scoreboard, it was deeply symbolic. In the days leading up to the game, Justice had been criticized for comments that appeared to question the energy of the Atlanta fan base. The reaction was swift and negative, and he took the field carrying the weight of those words. But his answer came with the bat. By launching the ball into the stands, he not only silenced his critics, but also proved his ability to handle pressure and turn adversity into motivation. It was a clear demonstration of competitive maturity and leadership, traits that had always been part of his identity as a player. Throughout the 1995 postseason, Justice had a solid showing, but it was that iconic moment that defined his contribution. He was already a key fixture in the Braves lineup, but that home run elevated him to another level in the franchise's history. Few players get the chance to leave such a definitive mark on a championship. Justice didn't just seize the opportunity, he immortalized it. For Braves fans, his name will forever be linked to the team's greatest moment of glory in the 1990s, a feat that still echoes with emotion and pride. After the title, David Justice's image became synonymous with clutch, the ability to deliver in the most important moments. On a team best known for its legendary pitchers like Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and John Smoltz, Justice was the unlikely hero of the game that secured the trophy. His offensive contribution was the perfect complement to the team's dominance. On the mound, years later, when reflecting on that championship, both fans and analysts always come back to that home run, recognizing its importance not just for the result, but for what it represented: the courage to face pressure, respond with greatness, and carry the team through its most decisive moment of the season. In 1997, David Justice was at the center of one of the most memorable trades of the decade, being dealt by the Atlanta Braves to the Cleveland Indians. The move caught many fans by surprise, as Justice was still considered one of the Braves' offensive pillars. However, the trade marked a new phase in his career and an opportunity to prove that his talent and leadership still had much to offer. Upon arriving in Cleveland, Justice was immediately integrated into the core of a team that had become one of the most dangerous in the American League, with names like Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, and Kenny Lofton. His arrival brought not only power to the lineup, but also postseason experience, something crucial for a team with serious championship aspirations. Justice quickly adapted to the new environment and showed that his offensive production didn't depend on the system or the league he played in. Even while dealing with injuries that were beginning to affect his mobility, he maintained consistent numbers at the plate, contributing key home runs, getting on base, and showing a sharp eye in the strike zone. On a team that already had significant offensive firepower, his presence added balance to the lineup, making life even harder for opposing pitchers. His plate discipline and ability to come through in clutch moments made him a key asset in tight games, especially down the stretch and in the postseason. In the 1997 playoffs, Justice was one of the Indians' top offensive performers. His experience proved valuable in tough matchups against teams like the Yankees and the Orioles, and his presence helped keep the team focused and competitive. The Indians advanced all the way to the World Series, where they faced the Florida Marlins in one of the most dramatic fall classics of the decade. Although Cleveland ultimately lost in 7 games, Justice's impact was felt throughout the run, reaffirming his role as a reliable veteran and a difference-maker in high-stakes moments. His performance over the course of the year proved that, even outside of Atlanta, he was still capable of being a leading figure. Beyond what he delivered on the field, the trade to Cleveland also marked a renewal of David Justice's public image. Away from the shadow of the Braves and the tensions with the Atlanta media, he found in Cleveland a welcoming fan base and a more supportive press. His maturity as an athlete became evident, both in interviews and in the way he interacted with teammates and handled physical challenges. For Indians fans, Justice became a symbol of dedication and commitment, remembered not only for his clutch hits, but also for his professionalism and leadership spirit. His time in Cleveland strengthened his legacy as one of the great hitters of the 1990s, someone who could shine in different uniforms and remain relevant at a high competitive level. David Justice built his reputation as one of the most consistent and feared left-handed hitters of the 1990s. With a smart approach at the plate, excellent discipline, and a natural swing, Justice was able to maintain solid offensive production throughout his career. He didn't just rack up impressive numbers. He stood out for his consistency. Even through injuries and team changes, he rarely went through prolonged slumps. His ability to adapt to opposing pitchers and find ways to contribute offensively made him a constant threat, especially in key moments of the game. Over his 14 seasons in Major League Baseball, Justice hit more than 300 home runs and surpassed 1,000 RBIs, establishing himself as one of the premier run producers of his generation. More than the raw numbers, what stood out was his year-to-year consistency. In multiple seasons, he ranked among the leaders in OBP, on-base percentage, SLG, slugging, and OPS, on-base plus slugging, showing that his value extended beyond raw power. Justice wasn't just a slugger. He was a complete hitter, capable of setting the tone for an offense and changing the course of a game with a single swing. His impact as a left-handed hitter was even more impressive in an era full of big names and powerful offenses. Even with stiff competition from stars like Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, and Larry Walker, Justice managed to stay among the standout players in both the National and American leagues. His presence in the middle of the lineup brought balance to teams and forced opposing managers into tough strategic decisions, especially in late-game situations. Upon retirement, Justice left behind a legacy of respect and excellence, remembered not just for his strong stats, but also for the confidence he inspired every time he stepped into the batter's box. David Justice was recognized for his excellence by being selected to the All-Star Game on 3 different occasions: 1993, 1994, and 1997. These selections were no accident. They were a direct reflection of his consistency as a hitter and his ability to impact the game year after year. In an era filled with offensive stars, particularly among outfielders, being chosen repeatedly for the event that features the league's best players is clear proof of the prestige Justice earned. He stood out not just because of his numbers, but because of how he carried himself on the field, always competitive, intense, and with a sharp sense of timing. Being selected for the All-Star Game is about more than individual talent. It's also a sign of respect from fellow players, coaches, and fans. In Justice's case, his selections reflected the admiration he inspired both in the clubhouse and in the stands. His elegant swing, paired with his steady demeanor and ability to come through in the clutch, made him a regular among the most voted and remembered players. Even when he wasn't leading in statistics, his presence was viewed as essential. Someone who could reliably represent his team and the league in one of baseball's most prestigious showcases. The 1997 selection, after he had joined the Cleveland Indians, served as confirmation that Justice continued performing at a high level even after leaving the Braves. This ability to maintain excellence, regardless of team or league, reinforced his image as one of the top left-handed outfielders of the 1990s. Every All-Star game he participated in was another chance for Justice to display his talent to a national audience, helping to cement his reputation as a legitimate MLB star. His presence in those games is now remembered as part of a legacy built on hard work, discipline, and lasting offensive skill. In the final chapters of his career, David Justice found a new home with the legendary New York Yankees, a team well accustomed to the pressure of the spotlight and the expectations of winning. Joining New York in the middle of a championship dynasty, Justice quickly adapted to the highly competitive and media-intense environment of the Bronx. Even as a veteran, he proved he still had a knack for big moments, contributing key hits, playoff experience, and a winning mindset that aligned perfectly with the Yankees' philosophy. His presence added depth to the lineup and gave both coaches and fans confidence that, come October, Justice would be a name they could trust. The 2000 season was especially memorable. During the American League playoffs, Justice shined brightly in the ALCS against the Seattle Mariners. His 3-run home run in Game 6 didn't just seal the Yankees' win in that game. It symbolized his role as a clutch performer. With that swing, he helped New York reach yet another World Series, this time facing their crosstown rivals, the New York Mets. In the Fall Classic, Justice continued his usual steady offensive production, proving to be a key piece in the Yankees' title run and earning his 3rd World Series ring, adding to the one he won with the Braves, 1995, and now with the Yankees, 2000. This final success with the Yankees further reinforced David Justice's reputation as a true October player. His performance in high-pressure moments, especially in the playoffs, made him stand out as one of the most reliable athletes of his generation. He closed out his career having won championships with 2 of MLB's most iconic franchises, always leaving his mark with timely hits and quiet leadership. For many fans and analysts, his time with the Yankees was the confirmation of an already respected legacy, that of a player who knew how to win, no matter what uniform he wore. Despite his successful and respected career, David Justice found his name involved in one of the biggest controversies in baseball history: allegations of performance-enhancing drug, PED, use. In 2007, he was named in the famous Mitchell Report, an investigation led by former Senator George Mitchell at the request of Major League Baseball, aimed at uncovering the extent of steroid and other banned substance use among players. According to the report, Justice allegedly received anabolic steroid from third parties late in his career, although there was no concrete evidence that he actually used them in games. Nonetheless, the inclusion of his name had an immediate impact on his reputation, casting doubt on achievements that once seemed unquestionable. David Justice has always vehemently denied knowingly using any illegal substances. In interviews following the report's release, he expressed indignation at being included based on flimsy allegations and a lack of direct evidence. According to his version, any involvement with medications or treatments was legitimate, intended solely to treat injuries and never to gain a competitive advantage. He criticized the lack of a right to respond during the report's preparation and how the media often condemned players without due process or deeper investigation. For Justice, the damage to his image came more from public speculation than from any proven misconduct. Still, the episode left a difficult stain on his legacy, especially when considering the symbolic weight PED use has had in discussions about baseball history and Hall of Fame candidacies. Even without strong evidence against him, the mere fact of being mentioned in such an influential document was enough to prevent Justice from receiving further official recognition, such as serious Hall of Fame consideration. His story serves as a reminder of the complexities of that era in sports, where the line between legitimate merit and suspicion of cheating became blurred. Despite the controversy, many fans still remember Justice as a clutch, talented player who was essential to the teams he represented. Someone whose contributions on the field remain significant, even with the shadows hanging over his name. After hanging up his cleats, David Justice made a relatively natural transition into the sports media world. Gifted with charisma, deep knowledge of the game, and clear communication skills, he found a place as a commentator and analyst for networks like ESPN and the Yes Network. His experience playing for major franchises and in crucial postseason moments gave him special credibility with audiences. Justice brought to the microphone the same confidence he showed at the plate, analyzing games with tactical precision and offering behind-the-scenes insights only someone who lived the intensity of professional baseball could provide. His work in the media was also important for reshaping his image after the Mitchell Report episode. As a commentator, he had the chance to show a more reflective, analytical, and mature side, which helped soften some of the criticism he faced in his later years as a player. Many fans, especially younger ones, came to know him not only as the player who shone in the 1990s, but also as a respected voice who enriched the viewing experience. Justice skillfully used television to share clubhouse stories, explain game strategies, and discuss relevant sports topics with balance and expertise. Moreover, his presence in the media represented an important example of diversity in a space long dominated by white figures. As a former African-American player, Justice helped expand representation within sports journalism on television, inspiring young athletes and broadcasters to aspire not only to success on the field, but also in platforms of opinion and analysis. His transition to this new career was more than just an extension of his baseball journey. It was a way to continue influencing the game, now through words, keeping alive his passion for the sport that made him famous. David Justice left a lasting legacy as a competitive leader and example of overcoming adversity throughout his Major League Baseball career. In a landscape often unforgiving with performance swings and constant pressure, he showed resilience by facing tough moments with the same intensity with which he celebrated victories. His career had notable highs, division titles, clutch hits, and all-star appearances, but also faced periods of criticism and injuries. Even so, his ability to reinvent himself and keep contributing at a high level is one of the most admirable marks of his journey. Justice was always recognized as someone who played with passion, dedication, and a strong sense of responsibility toward teammates and fans. Beyond his on-field performance, Justice also stood out for his leadership role on the teams he played for. In Atlanta, he quickly became a reference for younger players. In Cleveland, he was a key figure in building a winning culture. And in New York, even as a veteran, he showed wisdom and emotional balance to handle the challenges of the career's final stretch. His presence in the clubhouse was as valuable as his performance at the plate. He knew how to motivate, demand effort, and guide, qualities that made him a respected figure in the locker room and an important link in the victorious campaigns of the teams he represented. His demeanor inspired confidence and demonstrated that success came not only from talent, but also from attitude. Even involved in controversies toward the end of his career, David Justice managed to preserve much of his reputation as a symbol of effort, overcoming adversity, and significant contribution to baseball in the 1990s and early 2000s. His story continues to be studied and celebrated by fans and analysts who recognize his impact in the decisive moments of seasons. He was more than a slugger. He was a player for big moments, courageous in adversity, and a positive influence within the team. Justice's legacy is that of an athlete who overcame challenges, left his mark with dignity, and inspired future generations with his example of persistence and competitiveness. David Justice was much more than just a name in 1990s baseball statistics. He was a symbol of consistency, dedication, and clutch performance. His presence on the field was always marked by a blend of refined technique, power at the plate, and a competitive spirit. In every franchise he played for, he left his mark, whether leading the Braves during a golden era or helping the Indians and Yankees in prominent campaigns. Justice wasn't just a regular season player. He had the rare talent to shine when it mattered most. In the playoffs, where nerves take over and the greats reveal themselves. His journey is also that of an athlete who knew how to evolve. He started as a promising talent, became a star, and even in the face of criticism and obstacles, never stopped working to contribute to his teams. The home run in Game 6 of the 1995 World Series is perhaps the most iconic moment of his career. A hit that changed the destiny of a franchise and marked the peak of his influence in baseball. Few athletes have the privilege of experiencing such a moment. David Justice had it and knew how to seize it with courage and determination. But like so many sports idols, his path was not immune to controversy. Allegations involving the use of banned substances and his mention in the Mitchell Report cast a shadow over part of his reputation. Still, it's important to look at the whole picture. Justice has always denied any conscious involvement with PEDs and never tested positive officially. The debate about that MLB era is complex and involves broader contexts, but the fact remains that his performance, talent, and impact on the field continue to deserve respect and admiration. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave your like, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell so you'll be alerted every time new content is uploaded, and don't forget to leave your comment and share with your friends. Beyond the field, Justice found a new voice as a sports commentator, showing that his love for the game remained alive. He became a respected figure off the field as well, offering well-founded analyses and opinions that reinforce his mature perspective on the sport. His successful transition to baseball's backstage shows that David Justice is more than an athlete. He is a thinker of the game, someone who deeply understands baseball's dynamics and shares that knowledge with the audience. Today, looking back on David Justice's career, it's impossible not to recognize his legacy as one of the great offensive names of his generation. He embodied the winning spirit, contributed to important titles, overcame adversity, and influenced other players with his work ethic and passion for the sport. His name remains etched in baseball history as a symbol of resilience, talent, and genuine impact, both in the stats and in the memories of the fans. Until the next journey, dear baseball lovers,